Everyone, and welcome back to episode 24 of the Dragon Radar podcast. We're your hosts, Heeroh and Ajoten. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well, ready for another Dragon Ball discussion. How about yourself?
I'm also ready and willing to go, so let's get started. We're going to be talking Dragon Ball Superhero again. So there's going to be spoilers in this episode yet again, just like last episode, so you've been warned. But let's get straight into it with Roshi's rant.
Let's go.
This is Roshi's rant.
Okay, so this is Roshi's rant, the first segment of the podcast where we deep dive into a particular topic regarding Dragon Ball. And this week there's going to be spoilers because we're talking about the superhero film, and in particular, our topic this week is Gohan stronger than Goku and Vegeta? Ooh, big one. Big one. Controversy ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's going to be spoilers, but yeah, let's get into it. So, in the superhero film, Gohan gets his new form. Final Gohan. That's what it's called. That's the official name. Last week we didn't know the name, but yeah, it's been revealed. Final Gohan. And, you know...
I'll just stick with blank, I prefer blank.
Yeah. But, you know, you've read the comments online. I've read the comments online. There's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of people discussing. Is he more powerful than Goku and Vegeta? A lot of people think he is. A lot of people don't think he is. So, yeah, we're just going to talk about it and give our thoughts as well. So, this is all purely speculation. No matter how many comments you read and how many opinions you hear, it isn't confirmed. Nothing's confirmed. They haven't had a fight. They haven't met up. The films, you know, we haven't seen power level changes in Goku and Vegeta. They've been training, you've got to remember, Goku and Vegeta have also been training on Beerus's planet for months. We just didn't see the extent of their new powers that they've gained whilst training. So we don't know their power levels right now. The last thing we can compare them to is the Broly film, really, which is months previously. So, yeah.
I think they'll have had Zenkai boost from that because they got battered.
Yeah, they did until they changed into Gogeta. But yeah, who knows? We don't know the power level individually of Goku and Vegeta currently.
They basically exist in two separate universes. I mean, they're totally different. They might as well be in different shows at the minute.
Yeah,
we can't compare them. That's the problem. Until they full on meet up. For all we know, Piccolo could walk up and one tap a Goku. Like, we just don't know. But we purely don't know. I mean, to be quite honest, last we saw, you could argue Vegeta's stronger than Goku.
Oh, if we're taking just that film into account where they didn't power up, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, but from the last fight between Vegeta and Goku, Vegeta was the last winner.
The thing that strikes the biggest nerve with me when I'm reading comments and stuff online is that people are saying, in the film, Gohan said, I'm not sure if Goku and Vegeta could have defeated Max Cell, and they're saying that the Gammas, Gamma 1 and 2, are on par with Goku and Vegeta. Now, the reason I'm a bit like, about those comments is because when was the last time Gohan seen Goku and Vegeta? Because he wasn't around during the Broly fight. He didn't see them fight during then. He didn't see how badly they got beat up. Has he seen them since they went to Beerus's planet? Who knows? Because they could have went straight to that planet after the Broly film. Because, you know, Beerus has been asleep the whole time and he wakes up and says, why is Broly here? Why is everyone on the planet? That could have been straight away. You could have fell asleep straight after the film and then Goku and Vegeta go back to train with them and they might have been there for months. Who knows? When was the last time Gohan seen Goku and Vegeta? So I don't like that comment. Gohan could be just saying that because he hasn't seen them in ages and doesn't know how powerful they are now.
I mean, this is literally Goku.
Yeah.
Goku is not the most family-orientated person in the world.
Yeah.
He will literally disappear at the drop of a hat.
Exactly. And Vegeta's the same. He trains in the capsule pod spaceship thing that Bulma made for him with the times 5 million gravity. Like, he had nothing to do with his family either. It's just that's where he trained, you know?
I mean, he was around for when he made sure his kid was born.
Yeah. But he
like,
wanted to
it's like
train.
Trunks, when Trunks was a kid, like literal kid Trunks, he didn't babysit.
No, he didn't want anything to do with him.
He was just out the way. That was it. He would tolerate him being around training, but he didn't directly train him. He was only really interested when he found out that he could turn Super Saiyan because he wanted Trunks to be stronger than Goten. And he was basically like, can Goten turn Super Saiyan? Right? Are you stronger than him? Good. Okay. Right. I'm not going to train you. I just need to know that you're stronger than Goten. Okay, right. But I'm not going to do anything about it. Right. See you later. And then he was off. He wasn't involved at all. He made sure that Buller was born. He wouldn't leave until Buller was born. But then there was no indicator. But then he's off training again, and he's off on Beerus's planet.
Yeah.
So whilst he is a family man at the very, very important times, he's then not massive family man after the fact. So they're both off.
So the way I seen the comments that Gohan made, the only thing we can definitely confirm is the last time that Gohan seen them together, and that was the Tournament of Power. All of the Broly film, Gohan doesn't see Goku and Vegeta, I don't think. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember, if I'm honest. But even so, he definitely doesn't see him for the actual fight. If anything, I can't remember in that film what exactly happens if Gohan and Goku and Vegeta meet up. But he wouldn't have seen them fight during that film. The last time Gohan seen them fight was the Tournament of Power. So the power levels at that point is the only thing we can say Gohan is referencing to.
Yeah. And in a true fight, that would have been the last time you would have saw them fight.
Yeah.
That would have been the last time he had seen them go all out.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't, because he wouldn't have seen them truly go all. The last time they would have unleashed their power would have been against Broly. He didn't see them do that. So how can he say that he has seen them at their peak power? He can't.
He can't.
And he can't see them. He can't just go, okay, I can see you unleashing your latent power, because they don't just sit at their maximum key level all the time. Yes, they can sense key, but they don't sense them at their maximum key all the time, because they don't sit unleashing their maximum key. Like Kaioken times whatever Goku chooses it to be, he doesn't have that activated all the time.
Yeah.
He die.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can't really use that as an example.
But we can say that the Gammas are the strongest androids, and just for argument's sake, I'm going to say that Gohan was referencing Super Saiyan Blue, not Ultra Instinct, because let's face it, I'm pretty sure everyone will agree that Ultra Instinct Goku can defeat the Gammas. Let's face it. It will. But Super Saiyan Blue, let's put in that level. Let's say Gohan was referencing Super Saiyan Blue, and that means that the Gammas are on par with Super Saiyan Blue. Now, Piccolo manages to defeat Gamma 2 quite easily when he transformed into Big Orange Boy. And, you know, Final Gohan also was fine after he transformed as well, which means Gohan and Piccolo stronger than Super Saiyan Blue. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I think Gohan especially. Orange Piccolo, I'm still not convinced that Orange Piccolo is stronger than Super Saiyan Blue. But,
I mean, that's a big thing for them to just suddenly say, okay, through a Shenron wish, we've suddenly made Piccolo arguably the strongest fighter in the show.
Yeah.
Like, Goku and Vegeta are basically the main characters of the show. So through a wish, you basically made them the third and fourth strongest characters in the show. That's bold for them to have done that, if that's the case. I'm not saying they haven't, but it's bold for them to have done that, because then basically what they'll have to do is, if the Gammas are as strong as Super Saiyan Blue. If that is the case, that means that Piccolo and Gohan are incredibly stronger than Goku and Vegeta now.
Yeah.
Goku and Vegeta are basically weak compared to them. And the only way that Goku and Vegeta can catch up to that level, if Piccolo can one-tap them, which he can because he can one-tap Gamma, is they need another transformation. It's as simple as that. So basically that now means that they're going to have to put in another transformation.
Potentially, because even if it was blue, I still don't... I don't see, like, for example, Orange Piccolo versus Ultra Instinct. I don't see that fight being so one-sided for Piccolo to just get an easy win. You know? Against Super Saiyan Blue, I can see them a lot more evenly matched. Potentially, like, if it comes out that Orange Piccolo is stronger than Super Saiyan Blue, then yeah, fair enough. But Goku has already hit that next level. He knows his next transformation. Vegeta is getting stronger by the day. And since in the film we see Vegeta beat Goku, yes, they weren't powered up, but Vegeta did get that final blow, winning shot. This means that Vegeta is also getting stronger. And I'm pretty sure his like Super Saiyan Blue level will be higher than the Gammas as well. You know, either way, I see both Super Saiyan Blues being higher than the Gammas, just because they've trained a lot more since the last time Gohan's seen them, potentially. Gohan, I want to debunk another myth, because I've been seeing a lot of comments online as well with people arguing, well, Toriyama said that Gohan is the strongest person. Yes, kind of, he did say that, but he said if he kept training. And that's the bit that people forget. They read all the headlines saying, oh, Toriyama said that Gohan's the most powerful, and then they don't read literally the next sentence where he says, if he kept training. Yes, Gohan is strong. You know, we all know that. And if he kept training, yeah, he probably would be the strongest person, especially since Toriyama said that. But he hasn't. He didn't keep training. You know, he's a family man. He lacked all muscle definition until he powered up. You know, he is base form, not weak, but you know, he needs to get back into fighting shape, I guess.
Well, I mean, there's a prime. It's literally demonstrated that in the film where Piccolo kind of swat punches at him and he catches it, and he kind of smugly says, like, well, he doesn't say it because obviously we didn't see it with subtitles, but he catches the punch, smiles, and Piccolo basically just demonstrates that he's lost everything because he immediately punches him in the stomach, and he's demonstrating him that Gohan he's lost everything straight away. That it's just he's not training, he's losing his guard, and he's just like he doesn't train, and he keeps losing his edge. And it's basically the premise for the entire film is all that Piccolo wants is for him to get back into shape. And he loses ultimate, he keeps losing his forms, and it's exactly what's going to happen with this form. And what I want to know is how long until he forgets this form, because it's exactly what's going to happen.
Potentially. The one thing that bothers me is the fact that people see Gohan power up to this new form, Final Gohan, and they see him one-shot Cell. Okay, well, let's put it this way. Let's say that Orange Piccolo is on level with Goku and Vegeta, yeah? Gohan didn't defeat Cell on his own. He was fighting him, and he couldn't get the job done. He needed Piccolo to grab him and keep him in place so he could hit the special beam cannon to decapitate him and get the win. Let's switch the roles here. Let's say it's Vegeta and Goku taking on Max Cell. Let's say Vegeta is distracting Cell. Goku hits the giant Kamehameha to the head of Cell. Would that not do the same job? Would he have not defeated him like that? Especially, let's put it in other words. Let's say Goku was going all out, Ultra Instinct, mastered Ultra Instinct, and he hits him with the final Kamehameha. I'm pretty sure that would have probably defeated Cell. It's just we didn't see that.
I mean, to be honest, if you think about how easily he can dodge attacks in Ultra Instinct, And these are quick strikes from people like Jiren and everything like that. Like Jiren was a beast. He was fast, he was powerful, and everything like that. I mean, Max Cell is a huge lumbering monster. Yeah. Ultra Instinct, you can't touch him. Like, he's literally just going to dodge every attack until he can get a Kamehameha. And he probably wouldn't have needed Vegeta. All he would have needed to do is dodge until he had the opportunity to chuck out a Kamehameha. And he can move very quickly. I mean, if you think of the attack that I love so much, which is the way he finished off what do you call it? The Tony Hawk.
The grind. The killing Caulifla, their special move.
Yes, killing Caulifla. He was charging it. He was bouncing through the air, and then he was literally bouncing on rocks, and then he did the grind on the actual attack, and then knocked it out.
Blast them in the face.
And literally he needed nobody else. He's dodging large attacks. He was able to do that all by himself. So he could literally dodge these large lumbering attacks. And if you're telling me he can't do that in Ultra Instinct, that's crazy.
Yeah. So if we compare Gohan to Vegeta and Goku separately for a minute, the last thing we know about Vegeta is that in his base form, he can defeat Goku, but they're both very tired and worn out by the end of it. It's basically a tie. Let's face it, it is basically a tie, but because Vegeta got a last little dink and Goku went down first, he technically gets the win. But, let's put it this way. I think Vegeta is probably slightly stronger than Goku in Super Saiyan God, like Super Saiyan Blue. I think he's probably stronger in that form. And that's only because Goku has a better form now. And that's kind of Vegeta's max form right now. So he can get to that level and just increase it more and more. Because the manga, we'll talk about more in the podcast, so, get ready for that. But in the manga, that's kind of not so canon currently, as far as the anime goes. So he doesn't have Ultra Ego yet. So Blue is his max form currently, and I would argue that Vegeta is probably slightly stronger than Goku when they're both in that form. Is Gohan stronger than Vegeta? Final Gohan versus Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta.
Well, the way to look at it I look at Vegeta is Vegeta's not looking at power levels as much anymore. Because how he looked at it in the film is he looked at Jiren. The reason he beat Goku in the film is not through power levels. He looked at it as in, he explained it is the difference between Goku, Vegeta against Jiren is he said there wasn't much of a power difference between the two, between the three of them. It was Jiren's ability to not make a lot of mistakes technically. And so the reason that he was sitting still for the majority of the tournament power was because he was focusing, meditating, and concentrating. And that's why in the film Vegeta was sitting, because he was trying to do the exact same thing. And that's why he was deemed to be, and that's why he was a better fighter. And he technically beat Goku because he was focused. He was better focused. And basically that's what they brought out of the film. They're basically saying that because Beerus even says there's something different about Vegeta's moves. So he's making fewer mistakes. And that's why he beat Goku. And I think basically that's how you have to look at Vegeta is he's very strong. However, he's also becoming a better fighter. So is Gohan just relying on his strength?
Yes.
And basically because Piccolo had to hold Max Cell, and then he just used his power to finish the job. Because Gohan became very, very strong, that doesn't automatically make him a better fighter. He's not been training. He's been sitting about reading about bugs, which is very respectable because that's who he is. He's a scholar. He's not a fighter. As much as Piccolo wants him to be, it's not who he is. We have watched him for years. We know this is who he is. It's why I love him as a character, because it's the arc we've had for him.
Yeah.
And it's just who I accepted him to be. He is powerful. He has this power inside of him, but we have to accept that he's not this great martial artist. And just because he can become very powerful doesn't make him a great fighter. So if we had this great technical fighter that Vegeta was focusing on becoming, then you have to take that into account.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's as easy to say as, well, Gohan's really, really strong.
Yeah. Like, I agree with everything you've just said. I think power level wise, it's up in the air. We don't completely know. But if they had a fight, I can see... this is my first, I don't know how many I've said already, but maybe my first controversial take right now. I'm going to say, in a fight, one-on-one, Vegeta versus Gohan, Vegeta would win. Still, even with Final Gohan, even with Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, I think just because of the things you've just mentioned, the battle experience, the fact that Gohan hasn't been training, the fact that Vegeta's already engaging in ways that he can be better by meditating and not wasting energy, that type of thing. I think in a straight up fight, Vegeta will make less mistakes, he'll capitalize on Gohan being very power heavy, and you'll get the win one-on-one.
Because basically, let's say Vegeta's been focusing on his ability to fight. And let's say he's managed to, since the tournament power, he's managed to focus his ability to fight to the point where now he could beat the tournament power version of Jiren. Yeah. So do we think Final form, Final Gohan, it's habit now, Final Gohan could beat tournament power Jiren?
Again, just because of the lack... Well...
I mean,
it's two different Gohans.
So basically, what you'd be then saying is that Gohan could almost beat Ultra Instinct Goku. Because Jiren went up against Ultra Instinct Goku and pretty much fought fairly well. Was dodging attacks and everything like that against Ultra Instinct. Obviously, Ultra Instinct had the upper hand, but Jiren didn't just go straight out. Like, he was still able to dodge the attacks of Ultra Instinct and things like that. And he still held his own quite well. So that's very, very bold to say that, like, this new Gohan could stand up to Ultra Instinct this well. And I don't think that he's that good. He's not martially trained anymore. He's just really strong.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important to bear in mind. You can't just not train and not fight for all the time and then just suddenly flick a switch and be good. I love the transformation. We talked about this previously. I love, but the powerful Gohan we had against original Cell when he turned Super Saiyan 2 had trained for a year. He decimated the Cell that we saw back in the day because he trained and he became insanely powerful. So he had both to work with. The Cell that we saw against Max Cell only had the power. That's why he needed Orange Piccolo to help him. And if you watch that film, you will see that he had help.
Which is...
He caught the fist. He didn't dodge the fist.
Which is going back to Toriyama's point, which people keep arguing. Yes, he's strong. He might be the most powerful if he kept training. And that's why I think both Vegeta and Goku are probably still better, because Gohan needs to train. If he trained for a year, like he did against the original Cell, that type of thing, if he trained, mastered the form, got back into fighting shape, that type of thing, then it will be a different story. But right now, untrained Gohan, who's just learned a new form based on rage alone, would he beat them in a fight? I don't think so. I don't think he would beat either of them.
I think this is what I was saying about the Orange Piccolo last week, when we were talking about it is it's important to bear in mind with Orange Piccolo is we don't know his limits. Is that he's a martial person and we don't know the limits of that, because what he's going to do is what we always see him do, which is he goes out into the desert and he sits down and he focuses his art, and he's constantly training.
Yeah,
that's why he wants Gohan to come out and train with him. So this Orange Piccolo is going to get more powerful and is going to raise up in strength, and so he is going to actually keep up, hopefully, with these new powers. And so he may, even if he isn't as strong as Blues at the minute, okay, because again, like we said, we don't know. So maybe he's not as strong as Super Saiyan Blue. If he trains, he may end up as strong as the Blues. Yeah, because he may this power scaling of this new Orange Piccolo may be so much higher or raise so much faster. So he may be able to then overtake them.
Yeah.
We don't know how that works, because Shenron said, I gave you something extra. So the way it works is it may just be just this skyrocketing power that just has no limits.
Yeah.
So we don't know how that works. And that would be very interesting. And it may be the point where he's someone who ends up on Beerus's planet for all we know.
Potentially.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Because Whis may take an interest in him because
he's got so much potential to be so strong.
Yeah. Destroy Piccolo. Whoa.
Imagine that. That would be incredible. But I guess this segment is going on long, but the final thing I want to mention is something I mentioned last week as well, is that Gohan got this form based on pure rage and like seeing his mentor slash friend almost die. And I mentioned it last week where I said, can he just tap into that? Yes, by the end of the fight, it looks like he can tap out of it, because he's standing around in that form and he just like powers down. But that doesn't mean he can just get back into it, Is that not something he needs to like, really get into, like feel that rage inside him to grow into that power? It is Final Gohan after all, He needs to, like, it can't just be something he can just turn on and off. I don't think it will be, at least anyway.
But I don't think he's ever easily activated Super Saiyan 2, really.
Yeah.
He's never easily in the Buu saga, he seemed to really struggle with it when he had to power up to show off. He really seemed to struggle with it. Like when he originally activated it, I know it wasn't really canon, but in the BoJack film, he had to pretty much die almost to activate it.
Yeah.
Like he's always seemed to. He's never just really turned it on.
Exactly. So
in this film, he couldn't really do it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a form where we don't see it much, even if the show returns and even if we see more and more of Gohan going forward. I don't think this is going to be something where he's in a fight and he's just like, yep, time to go. Ultimate Final Gohan appears out of nowhere. No, I think something drastic is going to have to happen for him to pull this form out of the bag. And that's kind of another reason why I think Vegeta and Goku will be able to defeat him, just because they have mastered their forms. They're constantly training. They can just snap into their top forms if they wanted to. Gohan, I don't think it's that easy for him, and I don't think it will be going forward either.
He's gonna revert back to his old ways. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
We'll see.
I think that's just the character he is, and it's why I love him. I think it's sad for a lot of people, but it's Gohan I've grew up with, and it is what it is.
I have hope going forward that he's realised now that Piccolo's nagged him and that this has happened and his daughter's been in danger, that he might train, even if it is just a little bit. He doesn't need to go all out like Goku and Vegeta, leaving his family for months on end. But I think he might at least stay in fighting shape going forward.
Yeah.
Well, that's all up in the air. We don't know. But anyway, this has been a long segment, so we should move on now. Overall thoughts: I think we both agree that we don't think Gohan could defeat Vegeta or Goku in a fight quite yet. Maybe in the future.
Yet. Maybe in the future if he actually takes Piccolo up on his training.
Yeah, who knows? But for now, controversial takes all around there. But let's move on now to the Hall of Fame.
And now it is time for the Hall of Fame.
And now it's time for the Hall of Fame, where myself and Heeroh battle it out to see who is most worthy for this week's Hall of Fame. Last week, it was the best moment in the superhero film.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was the Final Gohan transformation, and for yourself, it was the special beam cannon to kill Axel.
Yes, indeed.
Have you got the results?
I do have the results, and the winner with 68% of the vote was Gohan's transformation into Final Gohan, which means you're on a 5 streak. One more and you level my streak. It's getting close. It's getting close. Yeah.
All I need.
So, the topic to maybe tie up the streak you have. So, what are we talking about this week?
Yes, so this week it is the best transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I should clarify, it is the transformation itself, not the result of the transformation.
Yep.
So, as an example, it would be the fusion dance,
mm-hmm.
not Gogeta coming out of the fusion dance.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as I have went first.
Right, yes. Also, we have decided to not include Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time because I feel like that's an obvious winner. And we've also disallowed Gohan turning Super Saiyan 2 against Cell as well because those two were just a little bit too obvious. So apart from those, we're jumping in with our favorite transformations or what we think is the best transformation. And yeah, we'll see who wins. But yes, you're going first since you're winning. So what's your pick?
Yes. So my pick is a relatively new one.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably quite obvious if it's a new one, as you could probably guess.
Yep.
And it is, of course, during the Tournament of Power, it is Goku turning Ultra Instinct for the first time.
Yeah, I had a feeling. I knew you were going to pick that.
Yeah. I think there's so much about it. It's even just the smaller details as well. It's the deathly silence of it.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody thinking he's gone, everybody thinking he's dead, bar one person who is just totally unconcerned. Frieza is standing there smiling. He knows. He's not convinced. Then focuses on Whis, and he's just like, "Is there anything you'd like to say, my lord?" And then just Beerus, here it comes. And then the explosion of light, the orchestral music, and he just rises from the ashes. And it's just everything about it. The animation is fantastic. And it's just the animation of it is just amazing. The look. And then it's the fact that unlike so many transformations in Dragon Ball, where it just takes such a long time for it to happen, and there's just so much build up, and then it's like there's a lot of dialogue, or there's a lot of silence, or there's a lot of posturing. This one, no, immediately into the fight. There's no hesitation. He just immediately goes at Jiren. Yeah. And I just think that was such a nice change that it's just straight into the action, and the music's just really hype, and it's just you're just not expecting it to get straight into it like that. And I just love that. And I just think everything about the entire sequence is just fantastic. And I think it's just such a change up from what we're used to. And I think I truly enjoyed everything about the entire sequence. And I just think, to be honest, I don't think, to be honest, there's anything bad. I think they just got it absolutely perfect for a transformation. And I mean, to be honest, the fact that they hinted at it from like the start of Super, when Goku first went to attack Beerus in Super Saiyan 3 when he first met him, and he stopped as if he sensed it.
Yeah.
And Beerus was like, "How did you suss that?" And it's like, it was just little details that were just there. So it's like even foreshadowing all the way back then. I just love it that it just finally kicked in. But it was just, I just think they did it perfectly. I just thought it was great. And I think it was done so much better than could have hoped. And I just love it. Fantastic transformation. And that's why it's my pick.
No, that's fair enough. Like, I had a strong feeling that was going to be your pick, and it would have been mine as well. But I knew it. I just had a feeling, so I didn't even go about it. I was thinking about other ones and what I could pick from the rest, and I have a solid one, a one that I'm confident in, one that I think it could do the job. It could. If it doesn't, then you've equaled my streak of 6. But mine is the transformation of Cell into Perfect Cell. Oh, yes. Maybe one that you weren't expecting. But yeah, opposite to the UI transformation, we were told about Perfect Cell way in advance. It was brought up. It was constantly said, if Cell transforms, it's game over. You don't want that to happen. Do not let him absorb the androids. It's bad time all round. No one's going to be having a tea party when that happens. And yeah, it finally happened. After all the build, after all of the threats and everything, he finally manages to absorb 18. And the smartest person in the room right then was Trunks. Because as soon as that happened, he knew bad things were about to happen. And for the first time ever, and the only time since, during a transformation, Trunks tries to take advantage and he starts firing beams at him mid-transformation. Why have we never seen that since? Why have we never seen that ever before apart from then? Someone's powering up and everyone just watches. No one tries to attack. Everyone's just like, you know what? It's happening. We're not even going to try and stop it. Let's just watch this play out. Trunks did the smart thing. He starts firing the beam blasts. And, it does nothing. But it causes a smoke screen. You can't see Cell. And then all of a sudden you see this giant green ball of light just explode. And it takes over the entire world. And then the lightning, that's like the energy sparks that are coming off Cell, surround Earth as well. Like the entire planet is surrounded by these lightning bolts of energy. And you see the green sink back in quickly. And you see Cell start to change from the second form into final, Perfect Cell. You see his body, like his hands and his face, change into the Perfect Cell. And then he's just glowing green, slowly just falling back down to Earth, and then the green glow disappears in a giant explosion. And he's just standing there, looking into the sky, all triumphant, like he's already won. Perfect Cell being is here. And it's glorious. He looks glorious the way he's just standing there, looking up into the sky, like, yeah, I've won and I'm here and it's happened. And these threats and things that we've been hinting at towards the entire Cell saga, here he is, and it's great. It's fantastic. I love it.
And this is why it should have been this Cell.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because second form, it's Akira Toriyama's favorite form for whatever reason. But
yeah, I noticed this. Someone told us this in the comments that this is why they chose this form after the fact, and I just think it may be his favorite form, but
it doesn't look as good.
Everybody else hates it.
Yeah, it just doesn't look as good, and its final form, final Perfect Cell for a reason, he's perfect, and the swagger and the pose and everything that he has when he finally just lands after the green glow disappears, and it's just standing very straight, head pointed, tilted up to the sky. It's like, yes, this is him. He's here, and the music throughout that entire scene as well is incredible. Just the entire thing. From the fear on everyone's face, apart from Vegeta, because Vegeta wanted it to happen. He's standing there looking all smug, arms crossed, just like, it's happening. Everyone else in complete fear, though. And the reveal was great. Loved it. So, yeah, that's my pick.
That is actually a solid pick. I very much approve of said pick.
Yeah, so yeah, it's two very different ones. The reveal of Ultra Instinct was kind of unexpected, out of nowhere, and as you say, goes straight into the fight. Whereas Perfect Cell, it's hinted throughout the entire saga, and it's the final reveal. Like, finally, we're seeing it after all this time. So it's two very different transformations, really.
It does seem like it's almost inevitable. I think you know it's going to happen throughout the entire Cell saga.
And you're waiting, and you can't wait to see what it is, and you finally see it. Yeah.
I think you just know they're not going to get away with it. And I think you know that as soon as Vegeta agrees to it, I think you know as soon as even Vegeta starts even remotely thinking about it, you know it's game over.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, it's time.
Yeah.
But no, that's a solid transformation.
Yes.
I've forgotten totally about it. I've forgotten how I'd forgotten how epic it actually was.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the transformations aren't so grand, so to speak.
I think when you think of transformations, the first ones you think of are the Super Saiyan transformations, and you forget about, because I was also thinking, is Golden Frieza a good one to go to? Because that's pretty epic as well, him finally revealing a new form. It's just, I didn't think it was on level with Cell, just because of the fact that Cell was teased and teased and teased for so long throughout that entire arc. And everyone was just waiting to see what it was. And it finally happened. Whereas Golden Frieza was kind of, he showed up, said, "Look, monkeys, I have a new form," and then transformed. But, yeah.
Plus, the Golden Frieza one was cool. It's very quick for the most part. Yeah. Like, it looks cool, but it happens very quickly.
Because arguably, you could say Frieza in the fight against Goku and Namek, his final form there. But I just don't think that transformation was on par with Perfect Cell, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a very solid. It's probably the most grand of the big three, I suppose you could say. Like Boo's all happened very quickly and without a lot of pomp, I suppose. Really, he just kind of absorbed and changed. So no, I would say they're the most grand of all the changes for the most part.
Yeah.
Solid choice. Very solid choice.
Solid choice indeed. And hopefully you can end your streak and I'll still be king of streaks, maybe.
No. I'm going for the 7. I'm going for the big 7. Sorry.
We'll see. I mean, this is my final chance to dethrone. Otherwise, you at least equal the streak. And you have the chance to beat the streak next episode, but we will see. But for that to happen, it's up to you guys. You get to vote in the polls. So down below, there's links in the description to our social medias. Go check it out. The two picks on offer, as we've already mentioned, is the transformation to Ultra Instinct Goku and the transformation to Perfect Cell. Those are the two options. Only one can go in the Hall of Fame. And we'll find out next episode. But for now, let's move on to the hot take.
Let's go.
Hot take.
This is the hot take, the final segment of the podcast where I usually deep dive online into the troll posts of the forums online to find a controversial take regarding Dragon Ball. But this week, we're going to be making up our own hot takes, potentially, based on the new news that has came out about Dragon Ball. Because, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name right, Akio Ioku, who is the Dragon Ball, well, he's part of the Dragon Ball heads, whatever that is. Don't know exactly, but that's his title apparently. He's a room head, whatever that is. He has came out and had an interview with some magazines, and it's been translated into English so we can find out what he was talking about. And he revealed that there is a new entry on the series in the making. He said that, it's been 5 years, and of course there's been ideas thrown around of what's coming next, and, Akira Toriyama himself has been making some designs and some concepts and that type of thing, throwing some ideas around. And he revealed that, there's something in the works. And Yeah, he's hinted mainly towards a new series, which is good. Because his translated words were, a new entry on the series is in the making. So, that means more Dragon Ball Super? Or maybe they'll title it something else. But either way, it sounds like there's going to be a new show coming out. Whether that's a new series or just a new chapter in the current ongoing Super series.
Dragon Ball Super Superhero, the series.
Oh, God. I want to get rid of Super altogether now. Just get rid of the name Super. I'm sick of saying Super now.
I can't believe Toriyama forgot that it was called Dragon Ball Super.
He's surrounded by too many yes men for that to be agreed on. Like, come on.
I can't believe they didn't remind him.
At this point, everyone who works with him must know he hasn't got the best of memories. Someone just say it, having Super twice in the title of a film might not be the best idea. Come on. But yeah, it's exciting. We're getting new stuff. And I think just based on the fact that this is what they did with Super, the show, is that we'll probably see the movies come first, or the new series, which means we'll get the Broly film reanimated and put into a show. They'll have a season instead of just a 1 hour 30 thing. It'll be spread out a bit more, just like the other previous films. And just because it's been announced that the superhero film is straight after the Broly film, that'll probably be the second thing to be reanimated. And then we'll go from there. Do we jump straight into the manga? Do they do some filler stuff first? Do they forget the manga altogether? That's all up in the air. Maybe we'll stop seeing things from the manga. Maybe they'll go in a completely opposite direction. Or maybe they'll just keep the characters from the manga but completely rework the story. Because Gohan and Piccolo have new forms, so it can't exactly be the same way as the manga.
Which is a bold retcon if they do.
Yeah, it is.
Especially because a lot of people have committed to the manga. And that would be a huge rework, arguably, if they just...
Potentially.
Because they have to, if they do change it, they have to say, this one is canon and this one is not. And imagine that they would... They can't just say, oh, they're both canon. You can't do that. You have to say one is canon and one is not.
Yeah.
Then you can't have two timelines. Just otherwise, it would just be cheap to say, "Oh, there were two timelines." Because I know there is multiple timelines, but that's just cheap. People won't accept that.
It does get a bit messy, but what I think you can compare it to, which people probably won't like this comparison, but the Walking Dead comics. I'm gonna go with that. So the Walking Dead comics were out way before the Walking Dead TV show, but the TV show very quickly caught up. And because actors are actors, which, I mean, obviously anime is different to actual real life performances, but because actors are actors and not just, you can just draw them to be however you want them to be, some actors dropped out, some actors, had to leave the show for whatever reasons or personal reasons, whatever else. And so they had to, be like, okay, we're following the comics slightly with the way things go, we're still going to go forward. We're going to do the same things that in the comics, but obviously a couple of characters are switched around here and there. We add a few little things here because some characters aren't around or some characters act slightly differently in the show compared to the comics. But it's loosely based, we're still following. And when the new comics are released, we're going to carry on doing the same sort of show. We're bringing in the same new villains that they did. It's just going to be slightly different, the way everything plays out, Because in the show, Daryl's a character, but he's not in the comics at all. So, he's obviously a big part of the show. But this is Dragon Ball podcast anyway. So they can still do similar things. Yeah, they can still do similar things where, they follow the manga story arcs, but the characters are slightly different the way they act in the anime. Maybe a few characters are now showing up in these arcs that weren't apparent in the manga, that type of thing. Like Gohan and Piccolo especially, because if Gohan does go back to just, kind of chilling, Piccolo, now being super strong, can appear in these arcs where he wasn't in the manga, that type of thing. So Yeah, it does change things. The story can still continue as is, though, where, they still have the epic fights, or they just write Piccolo out for whatever reason, that type of thing. But, it's going to be loosely based, potentially, on the manga.
Yeah. So how long was Broly after Tournament Power? It's pretty much...
I think it's almost straight after. If anything, maybe a few months at most.
Right. So it's very shortly after, yeah. Yeah, because Frieza didn't really chill. He just went straight into Larry mode.
Yeah.
So
he regrouped his army and went straight for the attack. So however long that takes.
So, and as I understand it, I could be wrong. The Galactic Patrol arc is pretty much straight after the Tournament Power as well.
I think we should say that we haven't read the manga.
Yes.
We don't know what happens in the manga. We know a couple of things here and there, but we don't know timelines. So, yeah, we might be a bit wrong when talking about the manga specifically.
So please give this a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But I know. I'm pretty confident it's not years or anything like that. And then Broly, and then Super Heero is very quickly after Broly.
Yeah. At most, like 4 to 5 months after the Broly fight.
So that would mean that we'd have access to Orange Piccolo and things like that very quickly into things like these future manga arcs that have started to take place.
Yeah. Especially just because we already know, just because of the Super Heero film, that they don't mention Moro, they don't mention Granola, they don't mention Gas, they don't mention Ultra Ego Vegeta. So it's like these are things that haven't been mentioned in either film. Yeah. So the arcs of the manga haven't happened, or they just, for whatever reason, especially against Broly, Vegeta just didn't use Ultra Ego, so he hasn't learned it at this point. And if this Super Heero film, well, it is just 4 to 5 months after Broly, he probably hasn't learned it yet, because let's face it, they haven't went through all those arcs in 4 to 5 months. Because also Broly would be with them in those arcs, which he isn't. So yeah.
Because basically Broly, Goku immediately went to see Broly after the fight.
Yeah, and brought him back to train.
Immediately became friends with him, and he would have immediately went to Beerus' planet. They were immediately friends.
Yeah,
like they were immediately getting on. He was smiling and everything with him. Cheetah might not have trusted him, but Broly was friends. Was friendly towards him.
Yeah,
and amiable towards him when he left. And you can tell in the film that Broly wants to be involved. He wants to fight. He just can't control his rage.
Yeah.
And Goku won't let him fight for that exact reason. But you can see Broly watching them, desperately wanting to be involved. So Broly wants to be part of that. So if he can fight and he can get involved, obviously he would be part of that in the manga.
Especially even if he couldn't control his anger, they would still get him involved in the fights just because they know how strong he is and they need a win. But he's not there.
If it was either the end of life as all we know it, or risk unleashing an angry Broly, I think they would risk unleashing an angry Broly.
Yeah,
I think it would be worth the risk.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I know more. I don't know everything about Moro, but I know he has very special powers that are obviously counterintuitive. I think he has draining powers. I think there's something about he can drain life or something.
I'm not fully fleshed out.
I don't know a great deal about it, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But again, it's obviously they just don't link. We know they don't link. We know that already, but it would show that they just wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
And we know that. And so it would require a retcon. And to immediately retcon would be bad. So one of them has to be canon. So one of them requires a retcon. It's as simple as that.
But there is one other thing that they could do. So with the Resurrection F film and the Battle of Gods film, they obviously reanimated it for the anime. And what they could do here, if they really wanted to, which might annoy a lot of fans, but what they could do is follow the manga. So when they start this new series or whatever, they ignore the Broly film and they ignore the ignore the superhero film. Ignore both of them. Follow the manga. Do all of that stuff. And then have Frieza invade. And be like, yes, it's taken me however long these manga chapters have taken. It's taken me a year or 2 years or whatever to regain my army. We're going to go on the attack. And we're going to have Broly introduced that way. But they change up the film slightly, like they kind of did with Resurrection F and Battle of Gods, where, this will be a pretty major change, to be honest. But we see Ultra Ego Vegeta trying to take on Broly. And he's still not strong enough. And they're still going to Gogeta. That'll be cool. And it can kind of end the same way. And then, Goku brings them back to Beerus's planet. And they're training all together there. And we just continue with new stories from there. The only difference would be that, Goku and Vegeta are a lot stronger than they are in the Broly film. And that will also make Broly a hell of a lot stronger than he is as well. Because he can keep up with their new forms. But everything else with the superhero film especially can kind of play out as is, because
I don't think, I think it still would have required Gogeta to beat Broly regardless. I think you needed Gogeta anyway. I think Gogeta is what's needed, so Gogeta is such a power bump that's what's required regardless. Ultra Ego is a huge boost, but Gogeta's Gogeta. It's just Broly is just such a power ramp. He's just so much more powerful than Super Saiyan Blue that would Ultra Ego have been enough by itself.
It's just the fact that even still, you've got new characters like Granola, who's a new good guy, who would have been there as well to help out probably. You've had all these battles that Goku and Vegeta have been on since, and it's like, okay, Broly's as strong as all of these now, all of these massive villains that have came out, and Broly's just as strong, and it's like, now Gohan and Piccolo have these new forms, and all of a sudden, are they just as strong as all these villains? Because that is something they would need to reckon. There is no way Gohan can go in if they did all of the arcs of the manga first and say, these Gammas are just as strong as Goku and Vegeta. No chance. You can't be saying that anymore. They would need to change that.
Also, Piccolo was in the Broly film and they didn't use him. Now, if he was Orange Piccolo and he is as strong as the Blues, they would not have left him behind. They would have took him with him. Yeah. Now, even if Gogeta was enough, they still would have took him with him as backup just in case.
Yeah, especially since they know Frieza's there as well.
Just to keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Because if he's as strong as the Blues, then they can basically just, you keep an eye on Frieza for us, even if you just have to keep him at a stalemate or whatever. Or because, like you said, we've discussed however strong Frieza is, whatever. But again, he would have to be there. They wouldn't just leave him on a mountain like they did. It would again be another change they would have to address. If he was in the film, they wouldn't leave him behind. He's a beast now.
He is.
Everybody is so much stronger, and everybody else needs to be involved. Then it needs to be a retcon. Everything needs to change. If they're going to keep it, they either need to say they have two choices: either the manga is no longer canon, or there needs to be a retcon. But they can't just say either that or the films are not canon.
But no matter what they do at this point, they're going to upset some people. We can either go back to the days of Dragon Ball Z where none of the films are canon anymore, and the Broly and the superhero film are standalone films, and we just never hear anything about them again. We forget all these new forms of Gohan and Piccolo. We forget Broly completely. Well, I still think they'll probably bring in Broly at least, but they would have to work him into the story a different way. It's just, no matter what they do, either they ignore the manga and go down the film route and carry on the story from there, or they keep the manga, bring in Broly and Gohan and Piccolo later, and change up their stories because it doesn't make sense anymore. Or they just keep the movie separate and say, not canon anymore. And then they follow the manga completely.
I mean, it was a hell of an opening weekend, though, for
it was
the superhero.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll say that the movies aren't canon.
Yeah, so they've got three choices, and no matter what they pick, really, it's going to upset people. So I'm really curious.
I think if they've committed to another series, I think they're going to say that the manga's not canon.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think they're going to do what they did at the start of Super, reanimate the two films and make them officially canon, and then carry on the story from there. I still think they'll do all the stuff in the manga. I just think they'll rework it for the show for it to make sense. Yeah.
Or they'll maybe they'll reset the manga.
I don't think they'll reset the manga. I think they'll probably get to a point in the manga where, if they do start releasing the show, they'll get to a point where they realize, oh, we need to make this make sense, and then in the manga they'll kind of catch up to that point, so then when they reanimate it and get to that point, they can now follow the same path again and be like, okay, we've kind of made everything make sense now in the manga, so going forward we can just continue.
Or they could just release them slower until it catches up.
Potentially, that's going to be a long time. That's going to be a long time. There is a lot of stuff that's been released in the manga which would take years to catch up.
Yeah, there's a lot of chapters ahead, aren't they?
Yeah, and the manga keeps on going. It doesn't seem to have any sign to slow down or stop right now. So yeah, I think it will be. I don't think they can do that.
No.
Yeah.
They would, if they did, they would anger a lot of fans. Someone's going to be angry, but it's their only choice. It's their only choice.
Yeah. I think best case.
It's not going to be canon. I think they have to say that the manga's not canon.
Yeah, I think
that's going to enrage a lot of people.
It is. Best case, I think, is to follow the films, then go into the manga, but change up things and just kind of not change the manga, but make the manga make sense in future chapters that we haven't caught up to in the anime yet. So then they can reach a point and be like, okay, we can continue on from here because everything makes sense.
Because to be honest, a retcon is as good as saying it was never canon. There's not really a difference. That's how people view canon. That's how people view retcons. It's like, oh, so everything you've told me this so far is just rubbish. It's just a lie. That's how people view retcons. They're like, oh, so everything I believed so far was just not true. That's how people kind of view retcons for the most part. That's why they annoy people so much. Because it's like, this is what I've always known the story as. You're changing my story. Yeah. And I think that's why people don't like stories. It's like you telling me that Gohan never turned Super Saiyan 2 against Cell. He actually did it for the first time, I don't know, in the Tournament of Power or something like that. Yeah. It's like, no, that's not how it happened. You can't change that now. It's like, that's the sort of thing you can't do.
Yeah.
So that's why people don't like retcons. It's like, this is the story, this is how it should be. It's why everyone hates everyone got really angry when they messed with the whole Star Wars, when Disney took over Star Wars, and they said that everything that was before a certain time just isn't canon anymore. The fan base went mental. They hated it. And they still haven't forgiven them for it. And it's the same principle. It's like, why would you do stuff like that? And it would be the same here. It's like, they have, like you said, there's so much manga out now. Imagine if they turned around and just said, that's not canon.
Yeah. It was kind of always going to happen. Like, they kind of, if they were ever going to bring back the show again, this was always going to happen. There was always going to be things that they would want to change, or things that are not quite fine for the anime. as soon as they released the Broly film, as soon as that happened.
I was going to say the Broly film was probably the death knell for the manga when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't exist in the manga.
Mm-hmm.
It should have really, if they were going to keep it legit, they would have had to just go straight into the Galactic Patrol arc. And if they didn't do that, then that's it.
Simply because more people watch the anime and the films than read the manga, the anime takes priority. So whatever happens there is the canon truth. And the manga is, it can be its own story, but it can no longer be considered canon if the anime goes down a different route.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll just take one acknowledgement from Toriyama or somebody like that, and just one word, and that's it. That's all it takes.
That's all it is. Well, yeah, as soon as the anime is released, then people just need to accept, okay, this is it now. They don't even need to say anything because the anime being released is enough for them to be like, oh, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
So,
basically, it's just as soon as what the anime story is.
Mm-hmm. So, they can't have both canon at the same time. They can't do the films and the manga and both of them be canon. They need to change one or the other. So, yeah. One of them is getting the boots, and it's more than likely going to be the manga.
There's too much money in those two films.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen how much they both made, and Superhero made more than Broly.
Yeah. Which is massive when you think about it.
Yeah.
Especially for a film that doesn't feature Goku or Vegeta.
Yeah, it was so popular.
It
just made so much more. I was so surprised about it. Well, to be honest, actually, I wasn't. I thought I would be, but I just wasn't. It was just so...
People love Dragon Ball, and everyone wants more Dragon Ball. It is the most well-known anime in the world. People can argue it might not be the best anime in the world, which is fine. You can argue that. But you can't say it's not the most well-known anime. Everyone knows Dragon Ball, and people want more.
Yeah.
No matter what. People just want more. They want the story to continue, and they've realized this, and it's been announced that they are doing more, which is great to hear.
Yeah, like everyone knows Goku. Everyone knows Goku, like they know Pikachu.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, I mean, there's no release dates yet. We haven't been told that, oh yeah, by the end of the year, we're going to have 3 series in the work planned already or anything like that. It could still be another year or 2 yet before the show is actually ready to be released. But it's just good to know that they're actually working on something. That's the biggest news in years.
Yeah, it'll be a couple of years, I think, at least.
Well, we don't know. Because he said that it's been 5 years since anything was released. They could have been working on the show for the past 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. They could have a lot of it already done, and this is just now the reveal because they're getting closer. Because you don't hear about a film before it's close to being done. You don't hear about a TV show before it's close to being done. They could have episodes already finished, but they haven't wrapped it up yet. They're not ready enough to release it, but they could be close.
It depends. I mean, the thing is, it depends if they've had different teams working on the films or not. They have done 2 films, when you think about it.
Yeah, but
they haven't been that far apart, really.
It's still been a few years, but either way, the show, the anime, could have been just ongoing in the background. We're still working out ideas, we're still doing this and that. We know we want to have a film though. So this is the main focus. The anime is like the sub-focus where we can do bits and pieces. In the downtime, there's no date when this needs to be done by. We can flesh things out, get everything right. So yeah. They can do that easy enough.
There was quite a lot of time in between them, I suppose. Yeah. No, there has been breathing time between the 2. But yeah, I suppose it depends if they've had a separate team working away from Superhero, then potentially. And it depends how many episodes they would want to release.
And
prior.
It also depends on the animation style that they want to do going forward as well. Do they want to keep it in super style? Do they want to go full 3D CGI style going forward for the show? Maybe. Who knows? I'm guessing they'll pick the lowest cost, which easiest to do. And
I imagine they'll stick with Superhero.
Yeah, I can see the anime going forward being full CGI.
I can't see them going back.
Yeah, I can't see them going back either. which again will anger a lot of people. But yeah, I'm fine with it personally.
Getting used to Whis will take some doing for me because he's a boy.
Yeah,
he was the one. I think I could get used to. I could get used to it, but I did not like how Whis was animated. I think that's going to take a lot of getting used to for me. I'll get there, but for me, I had a big problem with how Whis looked. There was something about him that I just did not like. But that's a discussion for another day.
No, that is a discussion for another day. Because I had no problems with Whis. I didn't even notice it, to be honest. But they've done animation changes throughout. OG Dragon Ball was one way. When it turned to Z, everything got a lot sharper. The animation was a lot more strong, I guess. The colors stood out a bit more compared to OG Dragon Ball. And then going from that to Super was a big change. Everything got a lot more colorful.
Brighter,
and almost slightly more cartoony in a way. Compared to Z. And then, of course, with the films, they start implementing the CGI, and then with Super Hero, full CGI. So that's just how animation works, It changes over time. It follows the way that the trend is currently. And people just do prefer 3D nowadays, I guess. And I can see the future series being full CGI.
I think for me, the pinnacle Dragon Ball animation will always be Broly. I think.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best of both as well.
I think that I don't think anything will ever beat what they did with Broly, but obviously I will never expect. I'm not fool enough to ever expect that from a TV show. Like that was just too good.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just unreal.
Plus, I think the CGI will be better for quick releases as well.
I was going to say it'll be easier to animate because they'll be able to just save the models and everything like that.
Whereas the normal animation style is frame by frame drawings, which they won't need to do with CGI. They have models which they can use, which is a lot better for them. Yes, they'll need to change the facial style and that type of thing, but they're not animating it, I guess. They're just moving around what's already there, which makes it a lot easier for them and a lot quicker.
Yeah, it's like manipulation rather than anything else.
Yeah, then draw from scratch quicker each time. Yeah. So I can expect that going forward, I think. But I'm fine with it personally. But again,
I'll get used to it.
Yeah,
Dragon Ball is what I want, so I'll take the trade-off, I guess.
Yeah, I'm happy with anything, and I can't wait for this new series whenever it is. But I'm very curious, and I'm sure you are as well, to hear the comments of the viewers. So please leave some comments down below on what you think. What do you think is going to happen in this new series? Do you think we're going to follow the manga? Do you think we're going to follow the films? Do you think we're going to do something different altogether? Who knows? Leave some comments down below. But thank you for watching the podcast anyway. We are going to wrap it up now. It's been a long one, but it's been a fun one as well.
It has indeed.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please like it up, subscribe down below if you haven't already. Go check out our social media links below for the Hall of Fame. And other than that, we will see you all next time.
Yeah.